Some project cars just don't make sense in your head. You have to see it for yourself. This is Gingium's Rally Miata, and it's an absolutely absurd Frankenstein. It has an EJ boxer motor from a Subaru and has all-wheel drive. With big meaty tires and tuned suspension, this thing is an off-roading monster. I was way too curious not to take this opportunity, and I wanted to see what it was like not only driving a Miata with a Subaru engine, but also driving an all-wheel drive Miata in general. So does this crazy Frankenstein even work? Let's go for a drive and find out. Mr. Caleb.
Hello.
We're back.
Back again.
We were in your Turbo Volvo about 2 months ago. It's been about 3 years since I've seen this car in action, and you just moved down here to Georgia. We thought it was the perfect opportunity to show off, in my opinion, one of your biggest like engineering or home engineering feats.
Yeah.
So what we have here, guys, if you don't know Caleb, which by the way, you should subscribe to Caleb if you haven't, especially if you're into weird, unorthodox stuff.
Yeah.
Caleb managed to get an EJ boxer motor in a Miata while also keeping it all-wheel drive, and that is fascinating to me. Nice ride.
Thanks.
To the point that when you ride behind this car, you can see the drivetrain all working.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, you will tell it better than me. How'd you get the motor in this Miata?
I bought a blown-up Bug-Eye WRX from a fan of mine. I built a jig off the Subaru chassis, and then I used that to make a new front half of the car for the Miata. So I had to cut the front frame rails off the Miata because they weren't wide enough to fit the flat four.
Right.
So I cut the frame off, and then I built this new tube chassis with this roll cage tied into the rest of the car.
The easiest way to get it all-wheel drive, you wanted all-wheel drive, you got the motor in, and even you kept the top mount, which was interesting too.
Yeah.
I could have sworn you're gonna do front mount intercooler like everybody does, but you're like, yeah, it works, it has the room.
Yeah.
And you kept the scoop to make it a WRX kind of look, and I love how you have an STI badge on the back.
Yeah.
That makes it for me.
It's not an STI motor, but oh well.
But I think to the untrained eye, if you're sort of into cars, you'll still understand why you have the badge there.
Yeah.
To be like, wait, why does that not sound like a Miata?
Exactly.
Because I love how you have the plate, Rally Miata, you have everything's ready to go. You turn heads like crazy in this thing.
I know.
Like we were driving, I was in your other Miata, and I was behind you, and everybody would take us, like stop, and then wait a minute, and turn around and go, what did I just witness? Second gear roll on. Dude, that was like fake popping a wheelie. Like the whole front, you weren't kidding, that roll on, the whole front end, Dominic Toretto's.
Yeah.
Who needs a WRX when you got family? So also, one thing I want to add is that the scoop is so big that it's actually kind of hard to see over.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to see.
Yeah, you take it off during events,
Yeah.
but you have to drive. Oh, turtle!
A turtle!
No!
You avoided it, so that was good.
And I think that's going to be a common question of why didn't you take the time to go off-roading for this video? And you're like, no, just like feel what the drivetrain feels like normally, and then later we'll go do something fun.
Yeah, it's hard to enjoy all the power on off-road.
Yeah, you're probably like, isn't it neat? I'm spinning.
Yeah.
The trans is also the 5-speed from the WRX, which is awesome.
Yeah. The Subaru engine sits really far forward because it's still Subaru suspension and stuff. So the tires are as close to the firewall as they can be without rubbing.
Sure.
That's why I had to put the engine so far forward. With that then, I couldn't fit the radiator up there.
Right.
So I had to put the radiator in the back, which wasn't too challenging, but it added more, lines, more
stuff.
fabrication, more all that kind of crap.
It's very much like I mentioned before, I drove this LS Swap S2000, and you looked at it and you saw the Honda logo, and you're like, why is it loping? You know, it makes no sense. Interesting to be also high off the ground in a Miata.
Yeah.
And when I say high off the ground, I mean that loosely,
Right.
in comparison.
It's like a stock SUV height.
Right.
Everything said and done, it still only weighs 2,400 pounds.
Holy
so that's pretty
smokes.
awesome. Like a WRX that weighs 1,000 pounds lighter than a WRX.
Yeah, like... I had to
up even more when you get into boost.
That feels good. Accounting for everything else, it just has that feeling of a little bit of uneasiness.
Yeah.
But you know you're fine. It's a weird feeling because with these big tires, you're kind of unloading and loading and unloading and loading. I love how, like, it has so much character. Like,
I love the noises it makes.
this is so weird. Like a Miata that's all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting the rear to kick out more,
No.
and it's like, no. It's so strange.
Yeah.
Like, not in a bad way. It's just something that if you've driven Miatas for years and years and years, like you have,
Yep.
and you're like, wait a minute, I'm sure when you get in your normal Miata, you're like, wait, okay, I gotta recalibrate some stuff.
Yeah.
What is this thing? It crab walks like a fast STI.
Yeah.
That's so nuts.
It's a little sketchy. It kind of.
I will say though, I'm not gonna lie to you, I kind of like it.
Yeah, it makes
Because it
a little
adds
more
that
fun.
thrill factor
Yeah.
of, like, it gives you this false perception of, yeah, I can control this beast. In reality, it is very controllable as long as you do these minor inputs.
Right,
I
yeah.
feel like if you were somebody who did too big of overcorrections, yeah, you can make a big mistake.
Yeah. So the one thing that you can't really tell from just driving around, it actually has a steering quickener. So there's a gearbox on the steering shaft
Really?
that multiplies the input. So
Really?
I wasn't happy with how much input you had to put into the WRX steering rack.
Sure.
So I put that in. So every one full rotation of the steering wheel is 1.5 rotations down at the steering rack.
Wow.
Yeah, but the problem with that is it adds a little bit of play in the steering. So sometimes when you are kind of crab walking, it's a little
Yeah,
not
as long as you stay relaxed, you're okay.
Right,
It's just,
yeah.
I can see if you're like, hey bro, you want to drive my Miata, and they freak out. Yeah.
It used to have a 2-to-1 steering quickener, and that was
Just
too
too
bad.
much.
Yeah, it was too much.
We
Pretty long gearing.
Yeah.
Especially with the big tires.
5-speed.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't really think about that either when you go to a bigger tire. Your gear ratio basically changes
Yep.
in a nutshell because of the resistance. On the surface, you're like, hey, I have an all-wheel drive EJ Miata, and you're like, that's freaking crazy and that's amazing. But then when you get into the nitty-gritty of it, you're like, oh my god, so much is involved. Have you had any like transmission issues or anything?
No, I haven't had any issues, knock on wood, because obviously the WRX 5-speed is like glass,
Yep.
but this does weigh 1,000 pounds less than a WRX, so
So you have so much less load on it.
yeah, I think that's part of why it's not blown up yet.
Feels like it has no play in it. Also, did you fab this up?
Yeah, a little center console. The other thing that actually was challenging is that the shifter linkage is like a foot longer than it is in the WRX.
Okay.
So that was a little interesting.
So is that why you end up having to make this tunnel?
Yeah, and that's why the shifter might feel a little weird, but
I don't think it feels weird.
yeah, it's
I
not
like,
too bad.
no, it feels nice and notchy. I like these style shift knobs
Me too.
Yeah, like make me feel like I have a dog box without having a dog box.
I wish this thing had a dog box. That'd
That
take it
would
to
be
the next level.
so nuts.
Yeah.
It's a weird build that, in essence is a really cool technological party trick.
Yeah.
But the benefit is that you made it actually work.
Yeah.
A project like this, a lot of the times you'll see it get towed to a car show and like, yeah, we've been building this for a while, we've been figuring it out, but unfortunately it doesn't run. We just wanted to show the concept of what we
Right.
want. Yours is utter proof of, I did this and I can do it, and the
Yeah.
only thing that gives it away is a big, meaty tire,
Yeah.
Also, the clutch is a little tough at first.
Yeah.
It's not catastrophically tough, but wait, it's a single disc, you said?
Yeah, it's single disc, clutch masters.
Your gauge cluster's from a WRX, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to wiring, how was that done then?
Just took the entire harness from the Subaru
Okay.
EJ right there, and just plopped it in.
No way.
Yep.
So, is that also why you use those gauges?
Yeah.
Is because it's easier just
Plugged
to
in.
route them in?
Yeah.
Did you do a switch panel for everything by the way?
I use like some Amazon kit,
Okay.
but yeah, it works great. The blinkers are a little annoying, but it's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you know, reminds me of back in the day when Clarkson was like, the 4 5/8 blinkers are stupid because they're on the steering wheel.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so his quote was, the problem with blinkers, or the problem with steering wheels is that they move. and when you drive a 4 5/8, it's very exaggerated. It's not that bad.
Right.
But I can see how the muscle memory of reaching down can get a little in your head. Because I went like this with my hand. I went like this for a blinker. It didn't work out too well. Had to get it.
That was another reason why I chose the EJ, is because that external wastegate sound. I love it so much.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
I will say though, the tires do grab every groove in the road.
Yeah.
You got to be a little self-aware of that.
Yeah.
But it's not bad. It's just you got to know it.
Right.
All right. Well, on that note, how can people find you, Caleb?
Check out my YouTube channel. It's Gingium. That's about it. I mean, I've got Instagram and stuff too. It's all Gingium.
It's all the same.
Yeah.
If you like unorthodox stuff, homegrown stuff that actually works,
Yes.
check him out. He's a good dude. And at the same time, let me know what you guys think of his Miata. I'm excited to read these comments.
I know,
That'll be interesting.
right?
But on that note, I upload on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. And have a wonderful day. Goodbye. See ya. If you guys like these videos and want to support my channel, make sure to head over to PattersonCarCare.com. It is my original formula detail brand that makes life so easy washing your car. Everything from cleaning your wheels in just around a minute, or any other product that is just as easy to use. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time.